I think, in my opinion, I think those top 4 teams are locks for playoffs. So I think Georgia's a lock. I think Ohio State's a lock. I think Oregon's a lock. And I think Texas is a lock. From there, I think the next best chance to make the playoffs is Notre Dame. I looked up and down at Notre Dame's schedule. They do open up with Texas A&M, who's the number 20 team in the country. They travel to Texas A&M, but I think Notre Dame's got a pretty easy schedule overall this year. So
Notre Dame up.
I like Notre Dame up. They might actually finish it. Here's a fun fact: Notre Dame's not in a conference, so they cannot finish 1, 2, 3, or 4. It has to be a conference champion that finishes in the top 4. So Notre Dame can go 12-0, have a perfect season, but the best they can do is number 5 in the playoffs, because it's like, hey, you want a first round bye?
Join the conference.
Join a conference. Yep. So that's where I see that. Looking at it, I like Missouri to make the playoffs. That we'll see how that goes. I also like Miami. I don't like Miami, but I think Miami's going to make the playoffs, because I think out of Florida State, Miami, and Clemson, one of those 3 have to make the playoffs because they'll be the ACC champ. But I'm not quite sure which one of those 3. So if you held a gun to my head, I'm picking Miami as that ACC champ. We'll see.
And what about the down vote? Who's going to be worse?
The down? I think people are really high on Ole Miss. I'm not sold on them. They've had a lot of transfers come in, but they just have to prove it to me before I'm sold on them. That's just my opinion. And Michigan, I think
you
Michigan
have to say that one on the show.
You know what? I think Michigan should be ranked. They have probably the best cornerback in the country, and they have 2 of the best defensive tackles in the country. But we don't know what the hell's going on with their quarterback situation. And their offensive line's good, but it's going to take a step back. I don't see a whole lot of skill there outside of Donovan Edwards at the running back spot. So I think Michigan is a good team, not a great team. And they lost so much from that national. You lost your head coach, you lost your defensive coordinator. You lost like 4 or 5 other coaches. You lost your strength and conditioning coach. You lost like 14 guys in the NFL. If they somehow, get to the Big Ten title game, that is a huge season for the Michigan Wolverines. I think Michigan, I think they are either an 8-4 or 9-3 team. That's where I'm going to put them. So Michigan, if you look at Michigan, and you look at the top 25, they play Ohio State in Columbus, they host Oregon, and they host Texas. So they play 2, 3, and 4 in the country. So if they win even one of those games, they're probably in the playoff, because they're probably getting to 10 wins and to go 10-2. I don't think they're going to win more than one of those 3 games, but I don't know. Ohio State's got plenty of revenge on the line. Oregon's an upstart team that's coming in, and Texas is loaded, and that's week 2 in Michigan. So we'll see. Michigan, I think, does not make the college football playoff. So I will just show you. I'm going to put it up here right now and show you who I think makes the college football playoff. Here's my predictions for the season. I think you can do a coin flip if it's Ohio State or Texas out 1 and 2. Whoever wins that Big Ten or SEC will be in the 1 and 2 spot, in my opinion. 3, I have the Miami Hurricanes. I think that could go the way of Florida State. Probably not Clemson. The sleeper in the ACC would be North Carolina State. In the Big 12, I love Utah. I think Utah's a tough team. They got a quarterback that's entering his 7th year, who's a former 5-star that's coming off an injury. He's Cam Rising. Some Buckeye fans might remember him from the Rose Bowl a few years back, but he is really good. They have a lot of talent in Salt Lake City in Utah. At the number 5 spot. And again, this is one of those things. If Ohio State makes the college football playoff and wins the Big Ten, they will be in the 1 spot. if Oregon wins the Big Ten, I think they will be in the 1 or 2 spot. So whatever team doesn't win the Big Ten, I'm going to put in the 5 spot. But in this scenario, I have Oregon at number 5 playing Liberty University of the Flames, who would be the best non-group of 4 Power 4 team. So I think the Liberty Flames go 12-0, make it to the college football playoff. But their reward for that is you got to go to Eugene, Oregon, and open up against the Ducks in the first round of the playoffs. At the number 6-11, I have Georgia. I think Georgia's a 10-2 team this year. I think Georgia has an absolutely brutal schedule, and I think they lose 2 games. Georgia has not lost a regular season game in like 4 years. So, but I think this year they might lose 2. But I have Georgia and Florida State matching up in the first round. And if you remember last year, Georgia put an absolute whooping on Florida State in the bowl game, like 63-7 or something ridiculous last year. Penn State, I have making the playoff and hosting Missouri. Missouri's a very good team. Penn State and Missouri, that should be a great matchup. And then in the 8-9 game, I have Notre Dame hosting Alabama. How cool would that be for Notre Dame Stadium to host the Alabama Crimson Tide and, in mid-December, and then the winner of that game, Ohio State, would play theoretically in my hypothetical playoff bracket here. So those are my teams. If you notice, I have left off Ole Miss, as you mentioned, LSU, Michigan, or probably the teams with the best odds that I do not have on that bracket. So that's my playoff prediction. On August 15th, we are 16 days away from most of the regular season kicking off. So